Let's see if we are live, and let's have a see if I can see some chat. If you can hear me, guys, let me know. I can't see shit at the moment, but I'll try on my other phone to keep on top of it. So I wanted to check in with everybody, see how everybody's doing. Bit of an unusual time, not gonna lie. It is the middle of the afternoon, and let's just turn that down, see if I can see any chat on here. Yeah, Nathan is knocking about. David Shubitch, how you doing? Rise and roll. Okay, we are live, and I'm starting to see some stuff come through. Guys, how's everybody doing? Hope you're well. Hope you enjoyed East versus West. Taki Paki, how you doing, mate? What's been withheld for review? Let's have a look. Me bomber clat. I will show that. Empty. SVK. So, guys, let me just start by saying apologies for the bit of roughness. Guys, you have no clue. The Ebola virus was going round. Well, Nathan probably has a clue. The Ebola virus was clearly going round when we were over at East versus West, and everybody got sick as a dog. We'll just wait a little while, let people filter in while I tell you this story of woe, guys. Yeah, it was bloody terrible. Really, really bad. I don't know what it was. Some kind of like neurovirus or stomach virus or something like that, but horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. And it was mixed in with flu. So you got the shakes and your stomach was bad, and I got away with that a little bit, but I had a bit of sickness, bit of massive headache. Super lucky though, because I kid you not, I only started to get it about 2 matches from the end of the event. So I started to feel really rough. I had a headache in my eye on the while the event was just starting to wrap up. We were just before the Jerry and Camille match. And I came off the stage after announcing it. And as I announced that match, I got off the stage and my head was banging. I had a headache in one eye. And I started to feel rough. And by that night, I was rough. Let me tell you, rough as hell. Craig Vickerland, I've just seen you in the chat, son. Hope you're well. I'll try and answer as many questions as I can today as well. So, David Shubitch, he's put, I held Devon's foot and contracted leprosy. The cost of a brush with greatness. Mate, them feet are gnarly. Dev's got some gnarly ass feet. But yeah, Devon was ill. He was sick as a frigging pig. Really bad. So after the event, on the night of the event, Devon didn't come out, didn't come downstairs, stayed in his room. Jody came down late on and just said, look, Dev's super, super sick. Why am I so high, incidentally? Can I lower this goddamn thing? Let's just see if I can. I gotta try and lower it a little. Try that. Hopefully that's better. A bit more centered. Yeah, so Devon was sick as a dog. Didn't come down. I think both the lads were as well. Milo and Odom were both rough as buggery. Mindaugas Terasatis was one of the original dudes to get it. So we got there on Wednesday evening. And by Thursday, Thursday morning, Thursday afternoon, Mindaugas was super rough. Bad stomach, sickness, flu symptoms, sort of sweating, shaking, shivering. He was absolutely screwed. So I got it that last night. I was... anybody who was there will tell you, I kid you not, I had a single beer. A beer. Oh, that's how KNL I was, guys. 1 beer I had. No more. And then drunk water all night. And I didn't eat much, couldn't eat much. Just felt rough. Super, super rough. So overall, from there it started to get worse. And on my way back when I was traveling home, yeah, we don't need to go into that. It was a bad journey home. Let's just say that. It took me about 36 hours to travel home. There was some kind of, I think it was a hole in the runway at Manchester Airport. So when I got to, we got to the airport in Philadelphia, fine. And then when I got back home, we landed into London Heathrow. I live in the north of the country, nearer to Manchester. So there was a hole in the runway at Manchester, and they shut one of the terminals. So we arrived there at like 6:30 a.m., something like that. We got bumped initially by a couple of hours, then bumped another 3 hours, then bumped another 2 hours. At the end of it, we'd been bumped about 13, 14 hours. And I hadn't had any sleep. I watched some diabolical films on the way over. So I missed basically a full night's sleep and was sick as a dog on the plane on the way back. Was up and down like a friggin' yo-yo. Felt like I was going to be sick. Got back and just collapsed. I was wrecked. Really, really, really rough. So, yeah, bit of a tale of woe there. But Mindaugas Terasatis, can't take my hat off enough. He was rough as hell and still performed incredibly. And he only started to get right from the sickness the morning of the show itself. He came down to the presser, did a good job at the presser despite being super ill, super sick. So I was keeping my distance from him. As I say, Milo, Orden, Tobias after the event. So Sperron was rough after the event. Number of guys were really rough after the event. I think Devon was as bad as anyone. He was super ill. Even Bogdan Stoica got a little bit rough. Paul Lynn probably okay because he's impervious to illness. But yeah, pretty bad. So let's have a look. Who we got in? Oh, there's my guy. Tim is in the chat, the Dungeon Master. Tim, hope you're well, mate. Yeah, constitution of a goat. But it even took down Mindaugas. That's how bad it was. Let's have a look. Takipaki, in your opinion, Neil, high-ranked arm wrestlers should use a sleeve to declare rank, kind of like karate. Yeah, it's not a bad idea, mate, but it's hard to. There's a degree of opinion there, isn't there? And it's whether it's needed. It's a little bit like boxing, I suppose, or you just walk in with your pair of shorts and everybody knows how good you are. So Safrikin, Bogdan Stoica, the new GOAT. I'll tell you what, Team Armwar's in the house, eh? I mean, represented well. Bogdan Stoica, it's interesting. So many messages. All the people that message me, you know. And I tried to answer that as honestly as I could. I think that the guys who messaged me saying complete mismatch, Bogdan has no chance, it's going to be a terrible match. Think again. As I said in the responses to all those people, and there were a lot, and on chat groups and people I spoke to, I had a lot of confidence that Bogdan Stoica is at that level. And I said, don't be surprised if Bogdan is able to run over Paul. Don't be surprised if it had gone 3-0 the other way to Paul, if he gets his lane. Whenever you look at arm wrestling at the elite level, if a guy gets their lane, they get exactly what they want, then they're tough to beat. And Bogdan Stoica is a very, very fast, pulse-based arm wrestler. Super twitchy, super quick. Sort of the nearest representation of a dark art style of arm wrestling. Very efficient, no real power involved. He has a great deal of power, make no mistake. But the intention of that style of arm wrestling is not to use power. It's to eliminate the match very quickly, make sure there's tremendous a degree of efficiency used, and no real energy expenditure. You get away with it quick. So great to see Bogdan get a result. Felt very conflicted because obviously I'm a massive fan of Paul Lim. Paul is a good friend of mine. He's one of the Fix crew. I have an enormous amount of time for Paul Lynn. One thing I will say is that going into that match, I was already a big fan of Paul Lynn, the White Hawk. I'm a bigger fan of Paul Lynn post that match because once again, the guy illustrates why he's so popular and why he should be so popular. because Paul Lynn is a throwback. He's a real man. He takes loss on the chin. He adapts to the good and the bad perfectly well. You saw him take a crushing defeat. Think about that. If you're Paul, you're an hour and a half from your home. You got members of your family there, a lot of friends there, huge pressure. You're going in as the favourite on paper. I'm just going to say that Paul Lynn was, without a shadow of a doubt, very aware of the threat represented by Bogdan Stoica. We spoke about that before the match, before we got to Atlantic City, and he was under no illusions of how dangerous Bogdan was. He wasn't cocky, he wasn't overconfident, he knew the threat level was sky high, and he was very appreciative of the different technical challenges that Bogdan introduced. Bogdan's a very different arm wrestler to anyone really that Paul had faced at this point. And he's a very different arm wrestler to most people on the circuit. He's very unique in that respect. So Paul was very appreciative of that. He was very aware of that. He did not take the match for granted. But nevertheless, he went in there as a favourite on home ground, with a lot of people thinking that it wasn't even going to be close, wasn't going to be a match. He comes out of that with a crushing 3-0 loss. Has anybody ever taken a loss better than that? Has anybody ever taken a loss more like a man than he did? Arm wrestling's about winning, sure. It's about training and preparation, diligence, and it's about losing. And it's about how you get up and crack on and move forward. And I thought Paul Lynn was a superb example of that. I did a post the other day, and in that post I said, look, I would send my sons, my noisy-ass sons that you can hear in the background, fighting and falling out, how to go and learn to top roll from someone like Mindaugas Terasatis. I would send them to arm wrestlers who were very proficient pressers, Bogdan Stoica, in order to learn that, and many other great arm wrestlers to learn their technical proficiency and their style. I would send them to Paul Lynn to learn how to conduct yourself like a man. No excuses made. Tremendous display. Thought he handled it great. A lot of the best arm wrestlers and the people I respect most in the game, I've always had that in abundance. John Brezink, without a shadow of a doubt, pull anyone, anywhere. Nobody could possibly have had more pressure. He was always the favourite. Devon Larratt, another guy who's got a lot of measure of that. Devon can go in there, talk up the match, talk crap to everyone, lose, and absolutely face into the thunder, take it on the chin. Dude's a warrior, and you can see it. And there's others that exemplify that. Without a shadow of a doubt, Paul Lynn is one of those guys, and my hat can't come off far enough to Paul. I hope that Paul Lynn gets back on the horse quick. I would love to see Paul Lynn back in the mix. There's a lot of very high-level athletes that I think Paul matches up very well with, and it'd be great to see Paul Lynn thrown back into the saddle quick and see if he can hit his stride. I can't wait till the guy arm wrestles again. Focusing on Bogdan Stoica, I mean, who's next for him? Let me know in the comments who you guys think. But, for me, there's a lot of dudes out there, and Bogdan's in that environment where he could go between 95 kilos and 105 kilos, and there are some tremendous matches. I mean, one that appeals to me straight off the top of my head would be Sasha Andreev, who is a rock-strong puller, one of the best to ever do it in and around that weight division. Had the win against Paul, different styles, shorter arms, strange, herky-jerky, off-rhythm timing. He's super dangerous. I think that's a great match. If you went up to the 105s, that someone like Zurab would be also, Zurab Tabaridze, who's a beast, would always also be interesting. Maharin would be interesting, and many more. I'd like to, what about a left-hander, Bogdan against Irakli Zirakashvili? My God, there are so many options out there for him. So, overall, great performance from Bogdan. one of my favourite matches of the night for obvious reasons. I'm a little biased on that one because he's our almost light heavyweight champ. So I was very, very keen for him to do well and to excel, and he did. The specialist has arrived in East versus West. Yeah, so that was great. Bogdan Stoiker is exactly what... He's great for arm wrestling in so many ways because he's engaging. He's talkative. He's articulate. Good-looking guy. Fast. Versatile. He's a good representation of the sport, and he's educational in the way that he arm wrestles and the way that he articulates things after and before the match. This is great for people that are coming into the sport and are going to be viewers of the sport because it allows them to really see a great deal, a bit of a window on his soul. So if you're not subscribed to Bogdan Stoiker, I would suggest anybody, if you pick up this and you want to learn more about the lad, get over there. Follow him on the Arm War Super Series. There's a huge back catalogue for any of our members. Remember, our members pay like £7 a month. It's nothing. It's like £7. When all the other arm wrestling promotions on earth take a break, we don't. This thing is constantly going. We're pumping out event after event. I mean, right now, the Arm Wars Titan House series is in full swing. We go back to work with that Saturday night, 9 p.m. Episode 3 of the Titan House is coming up. This is a 10-week run, guys. 10-week run. We're only 2 down. We took a break for East versus West, and that'll go again. Bogdan Stoiker's all over that thing. His instruction, if you want to learn about his style, you'll see that in depth as well. But also, you can track back the full back catalogue, and you'll see all of Bogdan's matches in there. And let me tell you, bad dude, impressive. So if you want more Bogdan Stoiker, get over, join up the Arm Wars channel on YouTube, get in that members areas and go nuts. You will not run out of things to watch. Mindaugas Terasaitis, wow, sick as a dog, pulling a guy who is, in my opinion, definitely top 3 or 4 in the world at that weight division, unarguably, really. And on power, is as good as anyone. He's right there with the Makarovs and so on. And despite the fact that Mindaugas had real sickness issues through the week, his health had been so poor, he was absolutely imperious. Dominated that match, made it look far easier than the last time out. Took hand control, got his resting spot. I'm going to say, I mean, you know, I'm sure we'll speak to Mindaugas at some point and get him on the shows, but I want to say that he never got out of second gear. I think the guy was operating at 60-65% of his capacity. He was waiting out the match and could have done a lot more. So, brilliant result for him. Hopefully it doesn't knock Daniel Prokopchuk too much, because there's another magnificent arm wrestler. Ton of matches that he can pull. I think that he was a little bit mentally overcome at the weekend. I don't think he went into there with a great deal of confidence and belief. So, yeah. Superb result overall for Mindaugas Terasaitis. And good on the guy. I think he did an amazing job. Very, very proud of him. Our lightweight champion in the Arm Wars Super Series, former lightweight champion in the East versus West, and I confidently predict that he will be again. Insipid22, thank you very much for the super chat, mate. He's put, Ayana Takanaka is so cool, really like her. What a lovely, lovely young woman that is, yeah. She's great. And the fact that she doesn't have command of the English language, and yet she really tried her very best to get stuff across in the presser was nice. And she's very much like Yoshi Kanai. Ayana is almost a very visual arm wrestler. She's very visceral in her style, very animated. And that allows you to sort of see a great deal of her character, despite the fact that she doesn't speak great English. So I'm also a massive fan of her, mate. Big fan of Vicky as well. Thought that was a good little match. Real solid match. Oh, the Grippler, Ian Carnegie of Mac fame is in the chat. Ian, hope you're well, mate. Got some time to catch up with the Grippler while we're over there. And, great to see him over there. And he was everywhere and anywhere in that bloody show. The Grippler, he was doing so many things. He was out there scouting for Major League and for Mac. He was looking at talent. So yeah, good job, Ian. Lovely to see you over there, mate. And likewise, hope you and your family have a cracking Christmas and New Year, buddy. Hope you're well. Let's see what else we got in the chat here. And yeah, apologies if you're just joining from a ropey throat. Rough as hell throughout it. Absolutely rough. The Drew. All right, mate. Pronator tendon. Hope you are well, buddy, as well. So let's talk about the South Africans. Let's talk about that a little bit, because we had young Duvan show in the tournament at only 16 years of age, and he's a big lump at 16, isn't he? I mean, don't know whether that came across as much when you watched him on the live. I haven't actually seen the show myself yet. Need to catch up. I haven't had a chance to look at much social media, if I'm perfectly honest. But Duvan Borman is a real rising star. That kid's a puppy. Just turned 17 years of age, I believe. I announced him as 16, and I think he came over and he said, "Oh, I'm now 17. I've just turned 17." So 17 years of age, absolute rock. You got me again, guys, or no? Can you hear me? Let me know. Yes. Yes, you're back. Thank for that. I blame Ray. Yes, Alex. Didn't get any chat through for a while, so that's good. Let's have a look. Jax, thanks for hanging out with us. I was one that asked you to go on the table with you after the event to teach me some of your knowledge. And Jax, sorry I couldn't do that, mate. Don't go on to the table a great deal because it my wrist right up. But that night, nothing to do with that. I had the headache of God, dude, in my eye. Felt rough as hell. Really, really rough. And that night it got a lot worse. Aaron Castillo is now just entered the chat, I can see. And he was also sick as a fucking dog. Tell him, Aaron. Tell him, because when you know, you know. How bad was that? God damn. Who's that at the bottom there? Neil, can I come and train with you? Mate, I am actually going to do some... I'm probably going to take on some students next year, to be honest, because I'm getting an unbelievable amount of people asking about that. So I'm going to be releasing some info on that. I will probably take on some students. Got some guys from around Europe that have been contacting me about that. So there may be an opportunity to do it, and I'm going to look at what's viable and what is not. But I'll do my very best to try and put something together in that respect. And for the guys in the UK, I might start doing some technical seminars where we get people together in a controlled environment, number of tables, and I run through stuff with a lot of people. So, yeah. What club are you with? Yeah. Ennis, let me know what club you're with, mate. I've just seen there, I'm in the UK. Let me know with who. And then we'll get back into the mix. Brad Butler, how you doing? Newcastle. Dude, I went up to Newcastle to train with the guys over there. Probably going to do some stuff, as I say, where you could come down as a crew and others could as well. We might put on like a seminar weekender. So keep your eyes open for that, and I'll send some information around. So getting back to where we were, Duvan. First of all, saw him for the first time there with his brother Rickard. Rickard is impressive. Can't say enough good things about those two lads. Their character, their demeanour, absolutely exceptional. I believe both of those lads are going to go on to be something special. I think that Duvan, as a puppy, has shown great potential already. I think that Rickard Bornman has already proven that the kid's a monster. And with the right kind of time, tuition, and investment in his training and the specific areas that he needs to work and sharpen up on, the dude's going to be an absolute beast. There is no doubt about it. He's strong as a pig. And I'm very interested and excited to see who his next match is against. I'm sure he'll be coming up again soon. I am sure. Lucky Ones podcast. Hope you're well, guys. Tune in to Lucky Ones podcast if you don't already, guys. Always supporting the channel on here. Ha, the purple suit. Yeah. I like that purple suit as well, mate. Couple of reasons. It travels well. So it's great to put in the suitcase. Super light. And also, because it's such a light suit, it's really not hot. So I'm a big fan of that one myself. Enjoyed it. And having that over there was good. Let's have a look. Question through on the private line. Yeah, can you talk more about Rickard and Schoolboy? Yes, I can. Schoolboy, I was a little disappointed in, if you want my honest answer. And why is because the lad is a great arm wrestler. No doubt about that. Alex is a great arm wrestler. But I thought he was pretty quiet at the weekend. Let's think of the best way to say this, because I don't want to be a dick about it. But for me, when you sign for a match with East versus West, okay, you know that you are going to go out for a professional arm wrestling match, and there's going to be a couple of things. One of those things is going to be a press conference. Now, I know that doesn't speak English, but he's got his brother there translating. I think you've got to go to the event, and you've got to go there knowing that you're going to face questions in a press conference, to at least have really solid knowledge about your opponent, really solid answers, information to give. You know it's coming. Doesn't even need to be in line with any question that I would ask. Personally, I don't like the way that the press conference is currently lacking press. We don't have a lot of questions coming in, and often I end up having to think on my feet and create questions for the guys there. I personally, not that I don't want to, I'm happy to do that, but I don't want to do that. I'd much rather questions come in from you guys. I'd much rather questions be gathered before the event and then read out at the event, and we can just address it to the athletes, because it's them you really want to hear from. So that will be my preferred look and feel. I think Schoolboy is an example of a guy who's heavily invested in his arm wrestling and progressing in that respect, but isn't really giving any time to marketing himself, answering those questions, letting you guys understand more about him. And when he did do that, which was at the end of the prelims area, so we did the 3 matches that were prelim, or 4 matches of prelim, can't remember how many, I think it was 3. He was the main event prelim match. And at the end of that section, he was asked, "Are you looking forward to the right hand?" And he basically made a massive excuse about why he didn't think he was going to do well on the right arm. For me, that's really disappointing. I always think if you roll over and show your throat, why have you taken the match in the first place? What are you doing there? If you don't want to, you don't think you can do anything, what are you doing? For me, that's just it's just a bad look. Rate the guy as an arm wrestler. Obviously, he's a big, strong, talented newcomer. He's on the march, and I'm sure he'll go on to do a great deal. Schoolboy is no bum, but he really needs to sharpen up on his presentation skills. He really needs to sharpen up on his own marketing, in my opinion. If he struggles with that, I think Alex, his brother, needs to really jump in and help him, and they should work together as a team so that when they go out there, they have a plan. They know what they're going to do. They know what they're going to say. And they've got a situation where they're ready to give people and give the watching audience a little bit more facts, stats, and information about how things have gone. They were pretty easy questions if you go back and watch that presser. And yet, a number of occasions, no answer came. It was just disappointing for me. Elliot Berry, what do you think will happen with King of the Table? Is it done, or will it be back? That's really a question for Robert and Dexter. I would imagine that there are opportunities there to utilise the brand, which I think is a strong brand, in some ways stronger than East versus West. But you could use it for another format of arm wrestling. So within Arm Wars, for example, we've got the umbrella brand of Arm Wars, and then we've got different styles of event. So we got a live show event like the Reality Check, or the Iron Curtain, any of those. Then we've got the Dark Card, we've got Iron House, and we've got Titan House. So if you will, there are sub-brands sat underneath the main brand. For me, you could do a similar thing with King of the Table. So within Arm Wars, we do the Battleground, which is a Grand Prix format. 8 men or 4 men start, and it's a knockout. I really like that. I love Grand Prix, and I love that style of arm wrestling. For me, King of the Table could be utilised for something like that. You could do a different approach. I don't know what that is. I don't know what they've got plans for, but that is an option. And I think it'd be a really good way of mixing things up. I know I'd spoken to Robert about maybe once a year doing like the old UFC 8-man Grand Prix, that we do a similar thing with the Battlegrounds, the full Battleground in Arm Wars. And I think in some respects, if you did it once a year by category, so in each of the weight divisions, you took the top 8 guys or the most engaging 8 guys and throw them into a Grand Prix, last man standing Grand Prix, it would be interesting. I think that'd be a really good format and a fun format and something a little different. Maybe that sits outside of their plans for King of the Table. I don't know what they're planning on doing, but if that was me, that's the kind of thing I might look at. You could even do that with an East versus West, though. I just like that format. But yeah, to answer the question there, Elliot, I don't have any hard and fast info on that one. I think there's so much going on at the moment with the actual East versus West events themselves. They're probably very focused on that initially, and everything else is a bit of a second relation to that. I know that they're already big time cracking ahead with the planning for Vienna and also Cologne. So a lot of work being done in those areas, mate. And I think that's where most of their attention is. So going back to the Rickard Borman schoolboy thing, Rickard, I was very impressed with on the right arm. I think he tried to make a show of it, and he left some rope hanging there for Alex to capitalise on to try and make it a little bit more entertaining. My actual belief is that on the right arm, he was pretty comfortable, and he was putting on a show, and I commend him for that. That's great. He was showing the range of technical prowess. To be fair to Alex, to be fair to Schoolboy threw the kitchen sink at him in terms of the actual arm wrestling. Nothing wrong with Schoolboy's effort there. It was more the presentation of himself that I was a little disappointed with. But overall, Rickard solid, and I'd like to see Rickard tested with, some of the bigger, stronger, tougher guys, particularly guys that are sort of on the rise and coming up through the ranks, or one of the established old guard who we know is not necessarily a top 10 guy, but there are a number of options out there. Someone like Frank Lamparelli, Philip Larsson, that kind of guy. Rickard obviously saying that he wanted to drop to 115. That's interesting. Super interesting. For me, I think he's very suited to that. It's how much strength he'd drop. But let's just say he did it very professionally. Had some real guidance around the water cut. I think he could do well with a number of guys in there, particularly guys that gravitate towards coming more sweeping inside. So someone like Kalina would be interesting for me. I think that it'd be good to get, and I think Kalina would start as a favourite, probably with Rickard Borman, because of experience and various other factors, but it would nevertheless be a really interesting test. And we'd get the ceiling, wouldn't we? We'd get to see where that is. He said that he wanted to go back with Derbedenev, with Pavlo. I like that, I respect that, and I know where he's coming from. He wants to make sure that people out there are aware that it wasn't luck. There was no luck there. It was going to go down that way. And I understand where Rickard's coming from, and I understand why he would want to give Derbedenev that shot. Jax, thank you for your super chat, mate. Any update on RVJ? Do you know what? I need to ring Rob. I really like Rob. Rob's a friend of mine. And I've been lapsing that. I need to give that kid a call. Love Rob Vigent Jr. Travesty that Rob Vigent Jr. is not right in the mix. Travesty that Jeff Hale is not right in the mix there. Justin Bishop is not right in there. These are entertaining guys, you know what I mean? Guys who are super engaging, endearing, exciting arm wrestlers to watch. And there are a number of those guys in the US. Mika Sakwaradze will be another one, although obviously he's out injured at the moment. But I think there's a number of guys around that are really interesting and engaging lads, not necessarily pulling the elite top of the bill. But nevertheless, I do believe that they could be on the undercard and have some great matches. And for the likes of Bishop, 100%, he's super dangerous. In that 77 kilo environment, he's right there giving battles to Tarasatis, giving battles to Amalinj. He's a bad dude. So there's a lot of guys out there that he will murder. And that he will have really entertaining battles with. And I love Justin. So I'm sure that East versus West have got plans to introduce these guys at some point. We've just seen Jason Merlo come into the fray. And Jason's a wonderful arm wrestler. Such a character. Such an underrated puller. I know that he got a loss at weekend, but let me tell you now, bad dude. There was a couple of guys kicking around the event at the weekend who were solid. I mean, Eli Sadov he makes me laugh with some of the stuff he's doing now to try and get himself into a match with Tarasates, which he wants to be careful what he wishes for, in my opinion. But nevertheless, can't knock that. Can't knock the fact that the lad's chasing that and wants to get active and wants to get a shot against a good guy. I do think he'd need to establish himself a little more before he goes straight in and pulls Mendigas Tarasates. I'd love to see him again. You know, even pull Daniel, pull any. But I think he needs to establish himself. Eli, if you're watching, get a couple of matches under your belt, mate. Let's see you build yourself a little bit. And then people get excited about you coming in. Getting any wins against a guy that's had full-blown AIDS for a week. Just pulled a match that day. I know you'd pulled as well. But on a practice table when he'd also been pulling everybody else before you rock up at the table. Bit less impressive, son, in my opinion. I know you know what I'm talking about. So, Eli, if you're out there, love what you're doing in terms of trying to get yourself noticed. Commendable, pal. Keep talking, but do it with an air of reality, and I think you'll probably get heard. Do it where you're going straight to Tarasates. Not sure you will, but that's just me. Insipid has just gone down the same track here, mate. Thanks for the super chat. He's put Roger Canningham versus Pork Chop. Curtis Cameron, best of fives needs to happen. At Mac, maybe. So I heard that. I didn't see the match myself between those two, but Roger, who I also rate very highly for a lot of reasons, was there at the weekend. I know that he had a good outing. Storm Cellino was there at the weekend and did as well. Paul Talbot was there at the weekend. These are all rocks. They're guys who are solid. Great to see some of those getting look-ins. So hopefully they do. I really hope that we see them coming and we see them getting into East versus West shortly. Let's have a look what's in there. Benji Mac, mate, how you doing? Hope you're good, brother. Roger needs more matches. He's a great puller and fires up. Yes, he does. And he was looking big, looking solid at the weekend. And Canningham's one of those guys that people may not know, but he's cut his teeth in the game. He's been around for a long period of time, and as has Paul Talbot. I mean, Paul Talbot, remember, was a WAL hammer holder. Winner at the WAL in the tournament days. Bad dude. Acid left. Storm Cellino, I think, won on the left arm at the weekend. As I say, Eli Sadoff, while he's not North American, he's based out there. And, yeah, don't underestimate that lad. And just as I say that, in comes the fine wine. Jason Merlo is in the chat. Mate, Jason, I think you're class. It was lovely to meet your mum and dad, to meet your little girl. She's awesome. Right little character. Yeah, super sweet little thing. She was sat there clapping and cheering when you were coming out. It was lovely to watch, mate. Watching your daughter as you came out. Oh, that was ace. I loved seeing how excited she got when her dad came dancing out. It was really good, mate. That was one of my favourite bits of the weekend, actually, watching your little girl get so amped up for you when you came out. It was really nice. And that's what it's all about, mate. Forget, wins and losses. It's those experiences. Amazing. So I hope hope you're not down about coming up short a little bit. Makes no difference, Jason. Everybody who knows you're an animal. You're an unbelievable arm wrestler. And look forward to you getting back in the mix, mate. And I'm sure it won't be long. I am sure it will not be long. So let's talk about that. Jason Merlo. Yeah. What do you want me to say about this guy? I can't speak highly enough of Jason. His hand control, as clearly demonstrated, was world class. Came up short a little bit in two areas. Lacked a little bit of side pressure, which I know he'll adapt. He's very much an attacking arm wrestler, pulls much better in attack than defense, and he was a little slower than Mayan, who is very twitchy, otherworldly twitchy. He's a naturally gifted, fast twitch, embracing athlete, and that showed. What that did do was give him a good opportunity to knock Jason onto the B side when the strap was applied. That obviously then puts Jason into a bad lane. And from there, Mayan was able to capitalize. But I'll tell you what, Jason will learn from that. Jason will progress from that. Mayan, what a beast. There are so many guys that I'd love to see him arm wrestle. I've actually spoken about that to the guys at East versus West who are making the matches. I'm sure they've got plans of their own, but you can't help throwing in a few suggestions now and again, can you? And I would love to see some of those matches come about, and sooner rather than later. So Mayan, a huge new addition in terms of talent. Jason Merlo, just letting America know that you've got another killer. And I'm sure you're going to be very proud of Jason Merlo in the future, because that guy will win a lot of arm wrestling matches, let me tell you right now. Yeah, without a doubt, Merlo's a beast. Brilliant technician. The fact that he stopped Mayan every time and had hand control was really, really good. Benji Mack just saying there, Jason reminds me of Cobra Rhodes, Andrew Rhodes, in terms of his style. One thing he does have is a wonderful hand, like Andrew did. So yeah, there are definite similarities there. Mayan, we don't really know his ceiling. I'm not really sure where he tops out. I have not seen him stopped or bullied by anyone. I have seen him beaten, but it was more down to nuance and being neutralized on the setups at the Swiss by a really strong Turkish lad who won that category, who was very tall, very rangy, and a really expert top roller. And he basically disengaged Mayan before the starts. And Mayan's losses at the Swiss were both to this dude, and I was stood 4 feet away. So I got a really good view of it. Mayan never got, his timing was off. He never got in the match, really. I would have been interested to see if he'd managed to engage his arm, if he'd have hit, and what he could have done. I would like to see Mayan get his wish, get stopped with some kind of solid position, but not necessarily on the A side of the table, and see how he works from those positions. That would be really, really interesting to me, and I'm looking forward to seeing that. Tal Dom, hope you're well, mate. Great seeing it. I'll tell you what, it was great seeing so many people out there. There were so many fans that came over, introduced themselves. That last night, I felt very bad, the night of the tournament itself, because I had the headache of God, felt sick as a pig, couldn't really engage with anyone. A lot of my friends, the arm wrestlers, were saying, oh, you want to come out, you want to do this, you want to do that. Mate, I sat pretty still in the bar most of the night. I was just leant against the bar, talking mostly to Joss Brisson about her development and technique coming forward. She had a great night. We'll go there next. Anna Gronlund, Jocelyn Brisson. I wasn't surprised by the outcome. I think Jocelyn is a couple of levels up in terms of that top end power. She's a bigger girl structurally. If you look at Jocelyn's forearms, hands, wrists, her elbow joint, shoulder, she's just a bigger girl. And she is a truly dangerous female puller going forward. Jocelyn is currently in a difficult situation. She's working with very minimal opponents who are not men. So she's having to pull against men, which is a great shame. There are not many female arm wrestlers of that level or anywhere near that level. So you imagine, she reminds me kind of like the same situation that Richard Lupkus had back in the day, in that she just doesn't have the ability to train on the table with the frequency that she actually needs in order to progress. Anna Gronlund is not that big a girl. She is a good puller, but she's very, very defined in terms of the lane that she arm wrestles in. And I thought that Jocelyn did a great job of literally just attacking that lane. I know she'd done a lot of work with her coach, Nathan, who's in the chat. They were sort of walking me through their game plan prior to coming into the match. It sounded joined up. It was joined up. And I genuinely believe that Jocelyn had more gears. I think her left arm is more impressive than she thinks it is. She is truly ambidextrous and she's dangerous with more technical tuition. She's dangerous to anyone in the game. I think, a few years under her belt and a bit more technical prowess. And Brisson's the girl that can give Gabby a problem. She's the girl that can give Egle a problem. She's got a lot of headroom. My opinion, that Jocelyn is working probably at about 30% of her capacity from a technical perspective. I think she's extremely strong. I do not think she's technically adept yet. When she gets technically sound, God knows where her limit is. Let me tell you now. I don't think Anna Gronlund should feel bad. I think she was just completely and utterly outgunned. She took a spoon to a knife fight, and that's the reality of the situation. You're always going to be up against it. You can't. For me, Anna can't look back and think, "Oh, I made a massive error. I did something wrong." I don't think she did. I think she pulled pretty well. She was just completely neutralized and overpowered. So there's not really any negative for her. There's nothing that Anna can take away from that match and be critical. In the same way that Paul Lynn, I don't think there's anything really that he should feel bad about or criticize himself for. And Anna's the same. Didn't really do anything wrong. It was just you came up short on the night. We've all been there. I know many times I've gone, and I had my ass handed to me back in the day, particularly on the climb. You try to throw down, but it's just not there for whatever reason. You come up short. And sometimes you don't want to get into your own head. You don't want to overanalyze things. You're better to just take it for what it is and look at it for sure, but don't dwell on it too long. If there was a really obvious area of shortage, in this environment, for me, it was technical lane was relatively one dimension from Anna, and and she's outpowered by a bigger, more powerful arm wrestler. So yeah, good job, Jocelyn Brisson. I'm a big fan of Joss. I hope she gets out there and realizes her potential. She's an extremely hungry arm wrestler, wants to win very, very badly. It's funny because there were, some Courtney who competed for Canada in the Open tournament was there. Very impressive arm wrestler. She said the same thing. She got nobody to arm wrestle. I know Sam Beliveau, who's based out in Canada. Massive potential. She's on this series of the Titan House, which the channel members will be able to see episode 3 of, as I mentioned this weekend. Sam Beliveau, Canada's strongest woman, one of the strongest women on earth. Huge potential. She's isolated, middle of nowhere. Difficult for her to get that table time and real diligent technical training. So really, really tough. It's hard for me to give any sort of criticism for girls that don't have the ability to get on the table and train with frequency. They're actually doing an incredible job to continue to progress in the way that they are with that kind of limited condition. It'd be great, I think, for those girls to get out to particularly Sweden or an area of the world where there are very high-level pullers in depth. So a lot of great female arm wrestlers that they can get involved with, learn a lot of technique from, and start to continually progress. I think that'd be great for them. But overall, great job. Thanks, Phil Woody, for putting the Arm Wars channel member link there in the chat. If you do want to see the Titan House and the dark card that's coming up, colossal matches coming up there, mate. John McKechnie, Tom Holland, both arms. match coming up and more, so get ready for that. Jocelyn hopefully is now going to go to the drawing board, get out on tour, travel around and meet up with some top class arm wrestlers. I know that I've given her some recommendations on coaches and people who can assist her in that environment. So, yeah, great opportunity. I actually heard yesterday from Maxime Boudreau, who works very closely with Sam Beliveau, and he's coming over to the UK training in April. Hopefully, I get an opportunity to do more with Sam Beliveau there. Obviously, at the end of that month, 22nd to the 28th, we have got Titan House coming up and Dark Card. So, yeah, big opportunity to train with Sam Beliveau again. Hopefully, we'll have Laura Baxter in there, and hopefully by that time, Rebecca Roberts will have some serious rubber on the road. And let me tell you now, if you're wondering what's the next big thing coming, I've just named 3 of them there. Laura Baxter, Beliveau, and Rebecca Roberts. Dear God, there is some serious friggin' horsepower amongst those 3. Let's have a look. Victor, what do you think about Bogdan versus Yoshi at 95? A couple of things, mate. Yoshi is 105, and I don't know he could make 95. I think if that match happened at 95, I would probably be heavily in favour of Bogdan, particularly with the speed. The fact that he's got the dead wrist press, I think that Bogdan would win pretty comfortably. 105, much more difficult match for Bogdan because of that King's move capability that Yoshi has. So interesting, but yeah, I'm sure we'll probably see it at some point. Hand Control Worldwide. I still watch Arm Wars episodes from 2010 for motivation. What a great time for the sport. Mate, there was some unbelievable stuff. I still believe that we have in the catalogue of Arm Wars the best matches that have ever happened in the sport. I genuinely believe that. It's an incredible archive of screaming career-ending death wars. But I think right now is a great time for the sport as well, mate. We've obviously got Arm Wars rolling, but some of the East versus West stuff that's coming down the tracks. And, you know, listen, I know there was a lot of negativity that happened with East versus West last year, but let's not lose within that the fact that we existed in a really great place for arm wrestling for a sort of whatever it was 18, 24-month period of time. There were some incredible arm wrestling events. I mean, there just were. Let's not get it twisted. That period of time was incredible. Unbelievable matches. If you looked at, you know, East versus West 5 through to East versus West 15, 16, 17, dear me. Unbelievable. The depth of the cards, the matches on those cards was sick. So it's been a great period of time, and hopefully we're now in 2026. That trajectory just keeps rising, and we go forward with some mega matches. Okay, let's have a look. Who else have we got to talk about on the card before we bugger off? I've been on here for about an hour now. So I know we're dancing around a little bit here, but probably the next match that I'd like to focus on would be Prudnik and Jordan. That actually went pretty much how I thought it was going to go. And I'll tell you why. I think had the match been made with a great deal more notice for both men, and let's be honest, neither one prepared hard for each other or for the left hand, because it was a relatively late confirmed match. I think in some instances that can be a massive advantage. I think in this instance, it was a massive advantage. That match couldn't have gone much better. It was entertaining. It was all over the place in terms of the technical lines that we saw adopted by the guys there. Prudnik is a fabulous arm wrestler. The lad can really pull. I think he was prying and poking in every environment he could, trying to get away with murder. He did get away with murder in some instances. He did a great job of disguising his attacks, looking like he was going high when he was going low, looking like he was going low when he was going high. His execution was solid. His endurance was what let him down, and that was an ace for Jordan Sonev. Jordan Sonev has got great endurance, always has had. Very, very solid puller, very strong. I mean, when you're up close with Jordan, you can see how thickly put together that kid is. And he's a beast. He's from their original crop of monsters out of Bulgaria. Iron sharpens iron, and there is some iron in that country, let me tell you now. It's one of those little pocket countries that have got 5 or 6 killers in their midst, and they really do. And Jordan Sonev got the brakes on early. I think it was very much a strategic match from his perspective. I don't believe he went in there confident. He told me that he felt he was the underdog, and I think he believed that. I think in round 1, however, when he got the brakes on, I think he felt like he had a lot of options, and I think he let that thing run a little longer in those first couple of rounds with the proviso that he would gas his opponent out. Pretty good plan, but the versatility of Prudnik was a weapon, and he started to really put it together technically, arm wrestled very, very well, and came up just short. But in terms of the ebb and flow of the match, probably the best match of the night. Didn't have the drama of something like Camille Jerry, but that was because of the X factor, the style changes. But if you take those out of the equation, I'm going to say that Prudnik and Jordan was as good as it got on the night. Thing was all over the place. Could have gone anywhere. Could have gone anywhere. So great job to both guys. Start of the road for Jordan Sonev. Jordan Sonev has got so many great potential matches. It is truly nuts. I mean, if you look at the guys that match up well with that guy, my God, it's super deep. And some of the guys that he started calling out, the likes of Rino Masic, Dave Chafee, Ibrahim Sagov, Kalina, and the list goes on. Man's got some battles in there, let me tell you now. So, yeah, big fan of Jordan Sonev. Always have been. Great guy, very humble, strong as Popeye's pig. Can do a lot of damage to a lot of dudes, and I think he's a very welcome addition to East versus West roster. I think he will go on to be a star. I really do. And let's not forget, within all of this, that Prudnik often gets overlooked, and he may not be super focused on the sport right now. I'll give you an example. He's a professional opera singer, for anyone who didn't know. Speaking to Yevgeny when we were over there, the guy had just been on a opera tour of Poland, where he did sort of 4 months of daily shows, sometimes 2 a day, where he's rehearsing, training for the shows, then going out and performing the shows. Try and wrap your head around that in terms of it would be very difficult. And this is weekends and week, okay? So it's a relatively short show, but throughout the weekend and even more busy at the week, he would be doing these opera shows. That is going to make it very difficult to get a solid training regime, because he's on the road for that extended period. He's doing the shows daily. Not the ideal climate or environment to get yourself strong. So really, really tough. Don't sleep on that guy. The more focused he gets going forward, there's a lot of dudes out there who will get leathered by Yevgeny Prudnik. Yevgeny Prudnik did nothing more than show that he has a lot of weapons in his arsenal on both hands. I think if he's in the best condition of his life, if he's right there, he potentially goes into that match as a significant favourite. I thought it was perfect timing for that to happen, and I thought it was perfect outcome in the match. Couldn't have got much better. It was brilliant matchup. Really, really good. So, great job for both those guys. Don't think it knocks Prudnik too much, and I think it's a good start for Jordan Sonev and allow people to see that he can bang at that kind of level. So, yeah, very solid for both lads. Interested to see how quickly Jordan Sonev gets back into the mix and who he's matched up against. He called out Bacho Saganashvili. That was one of the guys he said he really wanted to pull. I mean, Jesus Christ. Be careful what you wish for there, right? I mean, Bacho, what a beast that is. So, Rino Masic was another guy he called out. Killer. Sagov, killer. Other thing that makes it very interesting is that you've got, I mean, Rickard Borman comes down, goes 115. What about that for a match? Jordan Sonev, Rickard Borman. Who would you have? Who you got? You know, fully prepped and ready. Not going to run around him. He's not going to try and get around him. He's going to try and go through him. And I feel like he's strong enough to get the brakes on. And yeah, very, very solid matchup without shadow of a doubt. So, exciting times, 2026, guys. Exciting times if we see all these guys hit that weight class. And God forbid Monster Michael Todd doesn't get a shot at Levan Saganashvili and decides to drop to 115. Because I'll tell you now, the title would be under threat if that dude pops up at 115 and goes after Chafee, because he's a problem for a lot of guys. And Michael Todd might be able to defeat Dave Chafee. We'll see, I guess. Neil Cass in the chat there. Neil, hope you're well, mate. Another of the Northeast arm wrestlers. Fabulous arm wrestler, Neil Cass. Big fan of his. Hope you and the crew up there are good, mate. It's interesting. I was talking about the time I came up to Newcastle. Probably going to do some more seminars, bigger seminars. If there are any interested clubs in the UK that want to come up and do sort of a arm wrestling weekend, I'll probably look to set that up in 2026. So keep your eyes out for dates on that. Already talking to some of the UK clubs. And if any other UK clubs are interested in those, please do get in early and message me and let me know what your level of interest is, and we can set something up. Because I'm already starting to look at dates on that now. We're going to have not many of them. So, yeah, something we can capitalise on. Let's just see if I missed anything in the chat there, and we'll move on. I don't think I did, so that's good. Okay, let's talk about Kamil Jablonski, Jerry Caderet. Well, I called this one correct. I thought that the differentiating factor would be speed. No rocket science there. Press on press, usually the faster guy has a big advantage. Was not surprised. Wanted to see Jerry do well. Love that guy. Been mates with Jerry Caderet for 30 plus years, and there is no nicer dude in the game than him. And for the people that go in various chats and say he's useless, he's washed up, he's a has-been, nonsense. The dude's a killer. Jerry Caderet's got some great matches out there. He just came up shy on this one against a very dangerous Kamil Jablonski that will seal your faith. That kid is on the rise. He's a very big lad, very committed, ever-increasing force. Kamil Jablonski, I think, is going to have a big 2026. He's shoring up his game, and he's never too far away. And early on in that match, Kamil looked phenomenal. The round where he sat in on Jerry and then accelerated through him gives you enough evidence that he can find his spot really early, and he's getting more technically proficient. And the benefit for him, he's right in his wheelhouse in terms of prime learning, appetite, enthusiasm, energy levels. You only need to spend 20 minutes with Kamil and you'll see he's right in that sweet spot of his career. So I honestly expect that in the next couple of years he continues to be in the ascendancy, and I think he's going to win some very big arm wrestling matches. It's my honest opinion. And who knows? On the left arm, for Kamil, maybe there's a big match coming. You know, I've heard, I'd need to speak to East versus West, but I've heard that there's a lot going on with the Morozov situation, pulling Devon. Whilst that match was confirmed, I think you'll all know Morozov made some comments on there that he wasn't in the correct shape to pull Devon in February. My gut feel is that probably makes that match non-viable, and you got to look for someone else. Well, who's it going to be? For me, there's three options that jump out. It's either Dadikyan, Alajan Muratov, and if it's not one of them, it's Kamil Jablonski for me. I personally think that's great. I think it's a bigger match because of what happened at Arm Wars. And if you think about it, and I'm sure Devon will talk about this a lot because he's not shy, but if you think about it, it's kind of better that Devon pulls a bigger dude, a super heavyweight. So either a giant Dadakian or a Camille, because his laser focus is the match with Vitaly Laletin. So I think losing weight is not necessarily something that he'll be overly interested in. So a rematch with Camille, I'd love to see it. I would love to see that after watching what happened up close and personal when they faced each other at Arm Wars on the left. Yeah, very interesting. Bogdan Stoiker, the specialist, has just come into the chat. Bogdan, hope you're well, buddy. Hope you're well. We talked about your match earlier. If you didn't see it, yourself and Paul, great outing for you. Obviously, you know that you know that I'm a believer. Always was, always have been. And yeah, I thought you performed wonderfully. I thought you had a great day. Thoroughly deserved your success. Arm wrestled very well, and I did echo the sentiments you've put in there about Paul Lynn. What's not to like, right? He's a beast. Marius Flores just put in there, Bogdan Stoiker versus Todd Hutchins will be a great match. Mate, I'm sure that happens at some point, and I agree. I think it's very interesting stylistic matchup. Very interesting. So let's see where that goes. Let's talk about Tobias Sperong and Georgi Zeranov. Disappointing match for me in terms of the flow of it, largely because Tobias Sperong was ridiculously strong. Manhandled Zeranov, not close. That guy is a bad man, but let me tell you now. Unless you've got a certain set of skills to deal with that guy, tell you what, fasten up your chin straps. Only a young man, very much on the rise. That was easier than I thought it was going to be. Viewers to the fix will know I did have Tobias picked. I made a bit of money on that match, not going to lie. I had a few bets with guys over there who were big Zeranov fans. I'm a big Zeranov fan, but I thought that was a tough match for him stylistically. So, yeah, no surprise for me in terms of the win. Big surprise for me in terms of how easy that win came. It's my dude, Travis Tuggle. Travis Kintuggle is in the chat. Travis, my guy. Love that kid. Travis Tuggle's Iron. Another lovely character from out of the USA. Big fan of him. Had him over at Arm Wars. Super entertaining. Lovely guy. Can't wait to get him back. Yeah, great dude. Hope you're well, Travis. Hope you and the family are good, brother. And hope you have a wonderful Christmas and New Year. Looking forward to seeing you again in 2026. Bogdan just putting a few comments to right. Underground guy, yeah. No chance, Bogdan. Mismatch. Let's have a look. Yeah, Travis. What a guy. So, yeah, I was very, very impressed by Tobias Sperong. I genuinely feel like he's another guy that, for me, Tobias is a little shy, and I think he needs to work on that, if you want my honest opinion. I think one of the things that keeps Tobias down is he's not the most engaging character. And he is actually a really engaging lad, but I think he needs to work on it a little bit. Kind of like Schoolboy. He's one of those lads that can do more with his marketing for me. He's super committed to the sport, trains his ass off, works really hard, but then comes up short of the last hurdle when he doesn't really promote himself so much. And I feel like he could do a lot of favours for himself, get himself noticed a great deal, talk himself into matches, and he's too quiet. For an arm wrestler that good, with that kind of capability, show us who you are, Tobias. If you're watching this, Tobias, not a criticism, mate, meant to help you, but show us who you are. You're a fantastic puller. You've got a lot to say. You're a confident, articulate lad. open up, mate. Let the people in. Let them see who you are. Convert more fans. Tobias Sprong is a name that's going to be around that super heavyweight division kicking ass for a number of years. God forbid anything happens injury-wise. You're going to be a beast otherwise. So keep in the mix and work on that side of things. Try and make yourself a little bit more engaging, transparent. Let them see who you are. You don't need to change your character. You do need to be you a bit bigger. You need to be a bit more vocal. Let people know what your thoughts and feelings are about matches and so on. You do that, I think you got a massive future, mate. I really, really do. You're without a doubt a beast. So I think there is only one match that we haven't. Now I'm going to go back to a little bit on the Super Chat question on Daniel Prokopchuk and what's next for him, because I missed that last bit of the Super Chat. So I will go back to it. But let's talk about Essie Kinji, Georgi Svetkov, and the monster, Michael Todd. So let's just take a moment to reflect and pause on just how strong Acid G is. This is a very, very big, very, very strong, very, very experienced arm wrestler. Acid G, Georgi Svetkov, the Lemonator, is multiple Bulgarian national EAF European WAF world champion. Dude has been there, bought the t-shirt, and worn the thing out. He knows how to arm wrestle. And in his style of arm wrestling, he has had tremendous results. He's also a really engaging, endearing, articulate, lovely character. Great character. I'd love to see a lot more spotlight go on him. And against the right type of opponent, Acid G is crazy dangerous. For me, Michael Todd was almost the absolute opposite end of that spectrum. He's like, if you designed a guy to beat Georgi Svetkov, probably look a little bit like Michael Todd. You know, apart from if I designed it, wouldn't have that nasty old beard on his face and would trim that thing up quite a lot. Get it trimmed, Michael. Trim that goddamn thing. It looks like it's alive. Trim it. Trim it. Outside of that, I was in awe of Michael Todd at weekend. I think Michael Todd is, without a shadow of a doubt, the best defensive arm wrestler that the sport of arm wrestling has ever seen. Period. Better than anybody. More versatile at recovery than anybody from a defensive position. Unbelievably proficient at having a dude in an incredibly dominant position. Incredibly dominant. So much so that when you watch that, when you see the visual of it, you see the aesthetic, you think, okay, anybody who's at a decent level of arm wrestling, in your mind, you're thinking, if I've got that, I'll beat the mother. That's what you're thinking. You believe in your mind, from there, I'd crack him. Because you've got everything. You have height in the hand, you got the crank on the, you got your pronator in gear, you got it all. And a lot of it is being spoon-fed to you by Michael. Because Michael is laying traps. Michael is 3 moves in front. Michael is burning areas of your game, which you will then not allow you to recover. He's choking you out. He's freezing out the light and making the thing go dark. He's making the match happen in a dustbin. And his level of proficiency in that environment of the arm wrestling table is stupid. It actually doesn't make sense. His ability to transition, his endurance, his technical form in the lower third of the table, and The other elements of his game that have sort of played into that and allow him to be more dangerous, i.e. the limited range of movement, the calcification, and the downright top-end strength that he's got in some of the real key areas of the game, make him a walking nightmare. We talk a lot in arm wrestling about X-factor pullers, guys who are a little different, who cause you problems in a certain area. Michael is probably the biggest example of an X-factor arm wrestler ever. Sure, you've got other outliers, but they tend to be monotechnical. I mean, crazy Georgi Zakowicz, you know? Anatoly Maransiev. Pascal Girard. Gregory Schneider. Oleg Zhok. You've got weird phenoms in this sport. People who are different for a defined reason. But you don't have many people with the package that Michael Todd represents. Partial insanity, obsessive compulsive nature, a drive and a reluctance to take even a sniff of a backward step, regardless of the fact that he is seemingly outpositioned at the table to a stupid level. And he's arm wrestled for so long in those horrendous positions that his level of comfort in an ugly ass horrible spot is higher than Georgy Acid G Svetkov's level of proficiency in an exceptional winning position. Wrap your heads round that. That's how often Michael Todd has been in an absolute show of a match. A terrible, filthy, stinking, vile thing that he armored, ugly instead of a match. And yet he's in there and he's in there. He's not in trouble. You think he's in trouble. Everybody thinks he's in trouble. He looks in the worst position ever and he's comfortable and he's learning and he's becoming more diligent. And he is getting stronger and he is hungry as hell. And when you see him do something like he did at weekend with that degree of comfort against a guy like Georgy Svetkov, who's a multiple national, European and world champion and an absolute beast, it starts to dawn on you just how frigging good at that Mike is. And for that reason, I believe he is the absolute epitome, the living representation of ugly, filthy, obnoxious, should be banned defensive arm wrestling. What a fucking more horrible than that beard. That's a pretty horrible beard. Michael is a beast. And I cannot take my hat off far enough to that guy. He's nuts. He's strong as hell. And I, for one, really hope that he gets the shot at Levan Saganashvili. I really do. Because it'd be interesting. And I think Levan runs out of matches soon anyway. So great opportunity to see another match for Levan. And for Levan Saganashvili to clean sweep the division, because he's heading in that direction and there are very few people that will entertain that match, want that match, and that have a hope in hell in that match. The X Factor represented by Mike and his continual never say die spirit gives him a super, super outside shot, in my opinion. Yeah, let it happen as far as I'm concerned. Let it happen. Very interesting to see what they do going forward with Jerry and where he pops up next and what Jerry, where Jerry sits and where he goes. He's had a very difficult year. Lost his father this year. Can't even imagine that. I'm super close to my dad, and I know Jerry was super close to his dad. They were best of mates. Fella lived with Jerry and Kate, so massive blow. And that can do things to you that you don't necessarily appreciate. Yeah, I'm looking forward to see Jerry truly bounce back. And in 2026, get some fresh wind under his sails. Get going in a different direction. Lovely dude. Absolute legend and icon of the game. He is the godfather of the press. He's given us some of the most long, entertaining matches in the history of the game. And a lot more arm wrestling matches out there for him. And so many bangers. If you think back to the scraps he had with ACG, with Georgi Svetkov, the scrap he had with Gennady Quickvinia back in the day. Think of some of the death wars that kid's been in. And there are a lot of options for him out there. So, yeah, good on you, Jerry. Regroup, regather, and let's see you again in 2026, mate. For Michael Todd, fascinating. Don't know how you do it, Mike. You're an absolute freak, an absolute weirdo. To be able to do what you do from those terrible positions, it was bad. It wasn't Frank Lamparelli bad, but it was bad. Guy had everything. He had everything to the point where he got confused and gave it all away and walked back down your hand. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. Let's have a look. Yeah, entertaining stuff, Mike. Complete weirdo. You probably pissed off half the world because you were stretched out and ugly and a lot of people don't like it. I see what you are doing and I respect it massively. Anyone can arm wrestle that well in that much of a terrible spot. You deserve massive applause for doing that, mate. Awesome. And I understand that Mike and Devon may be training together this year in preparation for their next steps and their big matches, and that could yield some real benefit. So that's the East versus West post-event review covered off. I've been on here for nearly 90 minutes now, so don't want to stay on too long if I'm boring the sad everybody out there. What do you guys want to talk about? Let me know. Any questions, let me know, and I will try and run through them. Know there's a lot going on in the world now in terms of behind the scenes, but it's all event planning now for most of the major promotions. Don't think anybody's doing anything. Just to give everybody a reminder, we got the Titan House running right now. I'm actually going to Eddie Hall's tomorrow with Terry Hollands, with Rob Frampton. Members will get a chance to see all of the Titan House stuff. 10 weeks continuous. We're 2 weeks in, and with more stuff coming off the back of that. Films, documentaries, other stuff all coming for our YouTube channel members. And remember, we're talking about £7 a month. I mean, it's nothing. And if you want your fix of arm wrestling, join the Arm Wars YouTube channel. Get over there. There is a massive archive of stuff. Massive archive of stuff. Get over there, check it out, guys. If you're a true arm wrestling fan, you're going to see some unbelievable quality stuff there. Go over, get on that archive and have a look at some of the stuff. And I promise you will not be disappointed. The quality is second to none. The entertainment value is second to none. Saturday night, this Saturday, 9 o'clock, episode 3 of Titan House goes out. Off the back of that, we'll go into the Dark Card films. Can't wait for you guys to see South African champion John McKechnie and our very own lean machine Tom Holland go at it. What a match that is. Both arms. Unbelievable. Remember, in the Titan House this time, we had Robert Oberst, Terry Hollands, Lawrence Chatelet, Sam Beliveau, Maxime Boudreau, Kane Francis. All guys that are really on the rise. So, yeah, they were being trained by No Limits, Devon Larratt, myself, Bogdan Stoica. Yeah. A lot of stuff coming, guys. So get in there and check it out. I don't know whether we've anything to cover off again tonight. We will be back. As I say, let me know real quick before I jump off of here if there's anything else specifically that people want to cover off. And I'll nail it real quick. Alternatively, I'll jump off and we will be back Sunday night with the fix. Usual time, 9:30 on Sunday. It'll be littered with special guests on there. We'll give you an update on what's gone down. Saturday night, if you're a channel member, get ready for Titan House 3. It's coming quickly. Wait a minute, got a message there on the private line. When is the next Arm Wars event? Next Arm Wars event that we have already confirmed is late April, 22nd to 28th. We may have one before that. There may be one before that, but certainly that one is in the cards. And we've got the likes of Brad Grundy facing Terence Opperman. That's already been confirmed. Lars Robakken is going to be on that card. Terasatis has got a big match on that card. And so on and so on and so on. A lot of the guys, Bogdan Stoiker is on that card. Tom Holland is involved in that event. And we got a lot more as well. So stand by for that. Let's have a look. Don't think I've missed anything. Don't want to jump off on the off chance that I've missed something before I check. Dexter or Robert could be a guest at the weekend. Pretty sure that will happen. Pretty sure that Robert Baxter will be dropping in. But there's more guest potential there as well, guys. So, been on here for 90 minutes. Gonna get off and get some stuff done. Still feel like death on a filthy stick. I will see you all on Sunday night, guys. Hope you're well. Anybody who doesn't check out the show on Sunday, I hope you all have a lovely Christmas and a great new year, 2025, almost in the books. Got the Christmas tree up right there. That's right. Got some Christmas decorations right behind my fat face. And yeah, almost that time. Have a cracker, guys. Take it easy. Hope everybody's feeling better than me. And I will see you again very soon. Sunday night for the fix. Biggity bong, my fluffers. Biggity bong.